Welcome to the Sitecore Sessions, where Sitecore experts discuss Sitecore. This is episode 1, where our panel will discuss XM Cloud in 2024.
Hi guys, I'm Megan Jensen, MJ, Senior Solution Architect at Perficient and 2-time Strategy MVP.
Martin Miles, I'm Technology Director here at Perficient as well. And my past year, 2023, I mostly devoted for XM Cloud. That's why this conversation, I find it very relevant. DSF?
David Filippo, aka DSF. I'm the principal over Sitecore practice. I lead us from a go-to-market perspective. I'm a 4-time technology MVP and really deep into understanding how to leverage Sitecore's new composable stack, including products like XM Cloud, personalized CDP, the whole gamut. So I thought a good first topic. I mean, maybe it's just me and the mood I was in when I put together that blog post earlier this week was really reflecting on last year on kind of this evolution I've seen from headless to XM Cloud and kind of how it's shifted from let's focus on helping customers get to headless and here's why and be ready for XM Cloud when it's ready to let's just go with XM Cloud. It's ready. And kind of the reasons why I think that's the case, right? So yeah. Maybe each of you could start, talk a little bit about how you saw 2023 go and kind of where we are now in terms of our conversation with customers and clients.
Martin, you go first.
Of course. So I made a big contribution into XM Cloud for Perficient over 2023. And that started with my SUCON presentation, where I think I was the first person ever outside of Sitecore who bring this XM Cloud topic to such a high stage. Whoever comes first, it's very challenging for that person because you know very little. Whoever is adopting technology after you, they follow your trail. They know all. They benefit from all of your knowledge. For me, it was very much also experimental, but I managed to deliver a lot of things over this presentation. And I had to re-record it on my own with 50 minutes YouTube artifact where you can go through all the things. That was my start. I didn't stop on that. I started digging even far away. And basically, if you see LinkedIn, if you see everything I was doing in 2023, it was more or less related to XM Cloud. Components builder, that was the second big part of XM Cloud, which is still not being adopted properly, but folks are looking into it and there is big interest. I see they are building new and new features. There was a video at Sitecore Discover channel just a few days ago about new stuff. So we'll see, maybe they will expand it in 2024. I want to emphasize that XM Cloud was very crucial project for Sitecore itself. It was a matter of survival for this organization. You see, the shift was very big from what we had before to the headless world as we have it. All that shift should have been taken maybe 2 or 3 years ago, not in 2022, not in 2023, maybe 2020. That would be the right time for it. So now we are in a very difficult situation where the client, well, they understand they need to go headless. They understand they need to adopt Next.js. But at the same time, they think, okay, should we stay at site with Sitecore product or should we go to content, maybe Content AI or whichever is called Xcantico? So which is cheaper. Of course, they get lots of benefits staying with Sitecore, but they pay premium price for the premium product.
Well,
that was survival.
It's interesting that you said they should have done it years ago. They're still quite a bit ahead of the curve. I kind of see what's happened in the last year with Optimizely, and they're announcing their plans for headless, pure SaaS, and even Adobe with kind of their leading with their edge delivery and some of the Project Franklin stuff that is turning to kind of the go-to approach to make sure your site performs. So, I mean, they're kind of following to some extent. So I think it kind of validates the approach that Sitecore's made and disrupting itself. It's been very much a rebuilding year last year.
Mhm.
I would agree, but you see, you are taking leaders into example, but there are other second segment of the players who are relatively cheaper, and maybe they are not much widely adopted across the industry, but they still give you all that stuff for content management, for headless delivery. And these guys are usually lighter, they are smarter, they are faster, and they are way ahead. So many clients who are thinking dollar first, they are basically jumping off the ship. So for Sitecore, this was very survival year, and depending on how XM Cloud would get adopted, that basically was survival of the company. They made a big purchase of 1.2 billion for all these products to make this the whole ecosystem. And imagine if the main part of ecosystem does not work, the heart of ecosystem, the rest of body will not work. And I'm glad to conclude that for Sitecore, by the end of the year, we start seeing this progress going ahead, and people start adopting XM Cloud. I know lots of platinum partners have multiple projects with XM Cloud. We're getting so many in a pipeline. I just found out today. So hopefully it gets adoption even further ahead. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I agree. And, we've done a lot of workshops and demos over the last year. And I think the clients and prospects that we've talked to are really excited about the capabilities and all the advantages of going headless. And of course, coming from a strategy perspective, I'm speaking to marketers about like what would be different if you built on XM Cloud. And it's really fun to show them how much easier their lives are going to be as content authors, as marketers, that sort of thing. The Pages interface is so nice and clean and intuitive. And, you still have your experience editor and your content tree if you need to go back to the old way of doing things. But it's kind of rare that marketers' lives get easier and the interface gets more intuitive. So it's been really fun doing those demos and showing the capabilities and doing training with some of our new clients. And they're just really excited about how much easier their lives are going to be and more efficient it's going to be for them to build and edit pages. So between the pages and components and the personalization capabilities that it does have, for the vast majority of companies going from XP or XM to XM Cloud, the out-of-the-box personalization is going to enable them to do a lot. And then if they really want to set the world on fire, then we can move them to CDP and personalize. But it's been really fun just showing how their everyday lives are going to get easier and faster and more efficient when they move over.
Yeah, you guys both mentioned XM Cloud components, and I do see that as a differentiator. I go back to several demos that I've done personally, and I was always surprised at how excited clients got seeing that and like the light bulb in their head as they realized, hey, marketers aren't going to need me to go build this custom component. They can kind of do it themselves. And I think if you think about it and tying it to those personalization capabilities of XM Cloud, like a marketer can come in, they can say, I want to change this page for this personalization rule. Maybe it's a first-time visitor or based on their location. And they can go into XM Cloud Components, create a brand new component, add a personalization, a personalized variant of that page, and just add that without having to involve IT at all.
Right.
Yeah.
That whole process is faster. And, we've always kind of warned clients, don't personalize too much. It'll slow down your page speed. And to be able to tell them, like, you can change every single thing on this page if you want, set a new variant, and it's going to load just as lightning fast as the original is exciting to marketers. They can do all the things they always wanted to do. And now if they want to, like I said, set the world on fire and start doing omni-channel personalization and getting really, really granular in their conversations with their clients, CDP and Personalize is right there to add on. So yeah, it's a fun new era. And very, very rarely does life get easier and faster and more intuitive. So learning this is a piece of cake. It really is.
Yeah, I want to second you. As you both know, I edited and made this NA Sucon website. So guess how much did it take me to put all that layout stuff for the NA website?
Hours, not days.
It's just a matter of a couple hours for all the content. Of course, there were some ready-to-use components. There were moments where I have to tweak, where I have to overload the styles, where I have to do like minor patching stuff. But in general, it's just few hours, not more than that. And much of this time was for me to identify what I want to do. But
Yeah.
other than that, when we speak about component builder, I find it very interesting that, and even intriguing that when you bring this topic to the customers, they, especially business people, marketing people, they feel so much excited about component builder, but at the same time, its adoption is far away from the truth, because as it looks to me, the product is relatively fresh and no one dares to bring it entirely into production. But at the same time, the interest peaks. Adoption is just somewhere down.
And, you look at, the SUGCON website is fairly small. It's not a ton of pages. Now, if it's faster to build a few pages, now that efficiency increases exponentially. If you have a new site and you're building thousands upon thousands of new pages, that can take weeks and hours and thousands of dollars off the budget and timeline of a project just by making it easier to build pages. So, when we migrate, a lot of things get done kind of automatically. But for folks who are like in the trenches building pages, man, this is a lifesaver. It's going to be great.
Well, that's where DSF tool comes into play. First of all, you can leverage AI for things like that. We already have this, saying we, I mean, in Proficient, we already have this working prototype here built by DSF, where you can give human prompt and it gets the context of the pages, context of whatever you want. So you can clone the pages, you can do like scaffolding, absorb the content, all these things. Secondly, you can leverage some things like GraphQL authoring API, other webhooks, and do automation. In any case, the work of content teams with XM Cloud is much better compared to what it was before. So they don't need to spend meaningless hours for only constructing these pages. Just a minor change. If you compare, let's say, page and partial layouts that come with SXA, which itself comes with XM Cloud, right? That eliminates need for for editing the layout rather than for providing the content. So you don't have all these footers, headers, it's all pre-built for you. Use it like a constructor, you combine it, right? To get the page you want. You only focus on the desired content and things are automated. Just that thing alone simplifies you the job and saves lots of time. But combined with automation, combined with export, combined with AI that is coming, you get like tons of improvements. And even that's all even more common.
I mean, everything you're talking about, like you look last year and you look at everything Sitecore delivered over the past year to their SaaS products. And you look just at XM Cloud, I actually went, when I was researching my blog post, to see how many entries were in their XM Cloud changelog. And there were 98 entries. That averages about 8 changes per month. And there were some months where they were up to 15, right? Wow. And a lot of this was bug fixes and things like that. But like you look at things like XM Cloud Components, that was iterated many times over the year. I remember you did a presentation for tips and tricks for XM Cloud Components, and as you were preparing, they completely revamped the interface, and you had to kind of redo everything.
Just within a week, it was a case. I know that for sure because, as you might know, I'm doing this starter kit almost on a daily basis. Which means I run and spin up containers almost on a daily basis, which means every time the change occur, it pulls the containers. So the typical pattern for XM Cloud developer group is that they release something by Monday. But in the last time, I start seeing even more frequent changes, so they can do it Monday and Thursday, Monday or Friday. So they do multiple deliveries within the week. So there is no such a pattern even more like one release per week, but even one release per week is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the other stuff they've done, SSO support for the Sitecore portal that came out like March last year. You mentioned before dealing with partials and page designs. They added that to the pages interface mid-year last year. That didn't exist this time. This didn't exist a year ago, right? We know Sitecore Forms should be coming out for XM Cloud like this month, hopefully, or early this year. I don't know if any of you know anything about that.
The code is there in the starter kit. I see the evidence of form support in the starter kit code, whatever they have. So I think the Next.js SDK framework 21.6 will have it all.
So I look forward to seeing what they come out with this year. I mean, besides that, we're hoping for some updates for personalization, maybe even some A/B testing. I'm not sure.
And from
Well,
the
Dave O'Flanagan said the words last spring. I think it was in May, wasn't it, DSF, that they would add some more rules to the tool set. They would add A/B testing to align with those rules. And then I believe just some more analytics, which would be great. So yeah, once somebody notices those are live, please let me know.
Yeah.
I can name the changes from the DevOps point of things because I'm mostly involved in that. One of the biggest was splitting XM Cloud into platform stuff and your actual rendering host stuff or client-facing websites with Next. So first and foremost, you can separate your development groups. One is taking care of all the customizations, while the other guys can use Linux, Macs, whatever. They don't need Sidecore because the biggest bottleneck of the current setup with the Mono repository was that it relies on Windows containers. And the only reason for it relies on Windows containers is that CM itself relies on a legacy CM. And I know for sure that the guys in Sidecore, whoever builds the kernel, that team in Ukraine, they had the kernel rewritten with .NET Core as far as 3-4 years ago. And there was a very small piece of work to just rewrite the UI for CM. I mean, yeah, it's not small, but if they finish that, they would have the entire CM run with .NET Core, which means it becomes cross-platform, which means you now can run it on Linux containers, which means it will eliminate the one and only dependency for Windows containers that makes the development so much painful. But we got what we've got, so we have this dependency, and now we have to split it. But eventually, the front-end developers, they now have their own part. They can develop it entirely in isolation. They can push it into the cloud. So the deploy model remains the same for both platform and the client-facing website. And that isolation is good. From the code part, what I've done for our starter kit, I introduced 2 new changes to bring it even further. So one of the things I introduced is Storybook. And it was a very good, it was one of the best practices for developing with React, so that you can scaffold your React component in isolation. And basically, since you know whatever it accepts as parameters, you can provide it all. And you got it working. You can, it's like a sub-documentation. You can play with it and change its behavior right from the same place. But imagine we now have a component that is dependent on Sidecore. So you have to provide the layout, you have to provide the Sidecore context, you have to provide lots of things. So once I cared of all of the things, now I can do these SXA components as they are in the, let's say, experience editor. But I don't need experience editor just only with the purpose of instantiation the page with component, since I can do that all in total isolation, mock the data from the CMS, and it works. So now I can do it on Linux. Now I can do it wherever I can do. And another great improvement was end-to-end testing. So we all knew Selenium, which was a great tool. It was industry standard, but it has to go. There's better tools, and the better tool we have now is Cypress. So.
Well, it just goes to show, like, this move to headless, this move to Next.js has opened up a whole other ecosystem for Sitecore developers that we've never had access to, being in that paradigm, right? So you think of all the React libraries that we've looked into over the last year and trying to figure out standards-wise what's the best way to approach it, and some of the tools that you mentioned. There's just a lot of capability out there that allows us to accelerate our development that we never had that ability to deal with in MVC times.
But no one denies it's challenging. It is.
And at the same time, all that openness kind of leads to my next point. And another reason I think it's going to expand next year is the standardization on how we do stuff. So Sitecore came out in late 2023. with new guidance called Accelerate.
Accelerate.
That's full of recipes and stuff. At the same time, they also Sitecore Learning launched their training for XM Cloud and their certification. We had Proficient. We had 9 developers pass the beta exam.
Almost
And
40 now. There are
almost
5 more. There's
Oh,
5 more, just one step from taking exam. I don't know how many of them will pass it successfully. I do best of my efforts to make and train the people, but you never know.
Well, it just goes to show, like, the development documentation, the standard, the training plan, that's all there, right? I mean, we kind of saw this years ago when Sitecore pushed out Helix and kind of drove all their partners to adopt this methodology, and it's kind of repeating, and it helped. So I'm hoping this will be a good driver of growth next year.
The one thing of maturity for me personally is that Sitecore added XM Cloud as specialization to their partners portal. So now it's on its own.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, everything is very much indicative that Sitecore is going the right way. And I would agree with that. San Filippo 2024 is the year of XM Cloud. That's for sure.
I'm just thinking of some of the other reasons that I listed. Another big one, I think, is going to be, at least, especially for us, we do a lot of healthcare work, and they've been talking a long time about HIPAA compliance. And we've already seen our first client kind of sign a BAA for the future with Sitecore, that they're going to get support for Sitecore Personalize and eventually XM Cloud later this year. I think that's going to open up tons of opportunities for us and for our healthcare clients to really adopt some of these SaaS toolings where it was really needed in order to even think about adopting.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of big healthcare companies just waiting in the wings for the day that it's HIPAA compliant. They don't have to, worry and watch their back. Even, making BAAs more accessible is going to make a big, big difference. And now, we're a year into this. Everybody has some experience now. Nothing blew up. Everything's fine. Everyone's had successful implementations. Nobody has to feel like the guinea pig. A lot of kinks have been worked out. So I really think that a lot of companies in DSF, you call them, there's the early adopters, and then what's the majority?
Early majority.
The early majority, like, this is the time. You know what I mean? The economy seems to be doing well. All of these products have been, in the industry now for a year. Everybody has some experience. We know what works and what doesn't. We know what the caveats are. So I hope that a lot of the companies who are, considering just upgrading to, XP 10.3 or XM 10.3, really consider just moving straight to XM Cloud, because eventually it's probably going to have to happen. And just make the leap and save some time and money and just go for it.
So, a question to you, MJ.
Yeah.
I remember you were loud about saying XP is not that. Do you still keep this point?
I do, because maybe not in 2024, but we do have a lot of clients who just are not ready, maybe financially, to make the leap to XM Cloud, that sort of thing. And I guess what I mean by XP is not dead is it's still a valuable platform. There's still a lot you can do with it. And we have clients coming out of the woodwork who've been on XP for a long time. They've never really done personalization. They never really did their marketing definitions. Like, they haven't been using all the good stuff they've been paying for. So now we have a lot of clients who maybe aren't quite ready for XM Cloud, no matter how much we encourage them. And instead, they're investing a fraction of that money into better strategy, leveraging the XP stuff they have. So it's not dead, but it's in purgatory. I'll put it that way.
You mentioned financial reason, but there are regulatory reasons as well, which may prevent going with XM Cloud. And I can name one, for example. If you want to establish presence somewhere in difficult regions like China, it's not possible simply with XM Cloud, because it doesn't have presentation there. But it's possible to do with classical XP. Again, you have to do lots of customization to make it happen. You probably have to establish a secondary, you have master CM outside of You're outside of the country, you have to establish CM inside of the country, do the sync. Again, it's very much bespoke to the organization and the nature of the business where the editors sit, majority of authors. I mean, very, very much you have to tailor it to their needs. But with XP, you can do all of that. With Exam Cloud, you're only limited to the regions they give you. Currently, there are 5 regions, and none of them is in China. So you choose.
I mean, I've had conversations with clients that want that China presence, where we're exploring what the options are, and there are data centers close to China. There are also strategies for replicating content within it. The CM environment is not something that could be supported, but there are options that we're exploring. But I mean, there are some cases for XP. I think the healthcare one has been big until hopefully later this year, where that becomes less compelling. But I still see lots of opportunities. I see less reasons not to go to XM Cloud than there were a year ago. And I think we're going to continue to see that as the year goes on, and the capabilities and some of the certifications are attained, right?
Yeah, agreed.
One of the biggest blockers was integration with Azure DevOps. There was authentication. SSO was another reason for not going with Exam Cloud.
Azure DevOps is supported now, right?
It was announced, definitely, and I think it's already live.
Yeah, I saw it in the changelog when I was going through the XM Cloud changelog tickets. I saw
it in documentation a while ago, and there was a mention of it at MVP Summit. I mean, at MVP Summit, they actually showed it us.
We don't talk about MVP Summit.
Not on video.
Well, I guess it's past anyway. Speaking of events, I mean, the other big thing for this year is Sitecore Symposium's back.
Nashville.
In Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah. DXs were fine, and I went to 3 of them last year, but it doesn't have the gravitas that you get from a symposium.
It doesn't, and there were some upsides, because of the smaller nature of the event. I think we maybe got more conversation time with prospects and clients and customers and things like that. However, I know a lot of companies weren't going to pay to send their team to a sales event. Like there is some learning to be done, but I'm hoping that, with the year off, there will be a little bit more momentum behind sending bigger teams to Symposium again, because there's so much to learn and you can grow so much in 72 hours. Going to all the sessions and hearing what's new and visiting with partners like us. So I hope that people are really excited about getting back together again in one big group.
Absolutely.
My biggest expectation for Exam Cloud in 2024, let me think what will be. I think wider support of security and wider integrations. I mean, now with having things at the head application, with this headless architecture, integration becomes much easier. And but you need some time to get the content into the CM itself, or you need to do different things. I cannot name something out of my head straight away, but from 20 years of experience, I know sometimes they can jump as very crazy options. All that will give Exam Cloud more flexibility. Other than Exam Cloud, I see very big potential in CDP product. It's very little adopted, but the potential behind it is huge.
If we're doing
forward to see.
Yeah, if we're doing predictions or what we're looking forward to, I really think as CMOs and marketing directors and marketing teams learn more about what XM Cloud would mean to their workflow and their everyday life, I'm hopeful that they're going to be more enthusiastic advocates of making the jump. Where before, it maybe seemed like it was just an IT decision and, that they were the only ones whose opinion mattered. I really hope that CMOs and marketing folks get on board and push for this, because it's really going to make their jobs more fun and their lives easier.
So my prediction, really, I'm looking forward to see this year how it plays out with generative AI just across the board. I know they already added it to Content Hub. They added it to Sitecore Send. We know it's a matter of time before it's in XM Cloud. What is it going to look like, and how is it going to help our marketers and our content authors? At the same time, there are use cases for code generation, right? That we've already seen some third-party tools and other partners come out with solutions. I've been working on my own solution to that, but it's going to be impressive what it's able to do and how it's able to kind of speed what it takes to actually move from an existing site, whether it's on Sitecore or an MVC or it's just some other platform, and just make it easy to make that jump and make that translation. I mean, even outside the Sitecore ecosystem, I've seen a ton of code generation for things like Figma to React and tools that play in that space. So I kind of see that stuff getting more mature and coming together and lead to some really impressive things.
Agreed. And I hope that we continue to leverage AI and point AI toward the meticulous work that takes a lot of time that no one really loves to do, and not to take away the creative spark of our writers and designers and things like that. You know, make our lives easier, make our work quality better, so we can spend more time on the fun stuff.
Of course, and it's not just creative part, which is visual part, but even when it comes to not coding, because coding is more or less straightforward, but to the architectural aspects of the development, that's where I want the bigger influence of AI. So let's imagine I want to do some POC, right? But I start realizing, okay, there's Sitecore is built on the idea of pipelines. This is the base item of architecture, how it's built. Then it has different things. You need to create patch files. You need to do lots of things. And I just start realizing, okay, I need to dig this information, take it from here, copy, play, test. Maybe it fails. I need to address that. What if I just explain in a textual format that I want to build this, I need to get this pipeline, or even I don't know the name of a pipeline. I need to briefly describe what, like, I know that something modifies request that is processing the media, right? Because I want to incline into that media processing in order to plug, let's say, another AI that generates images and immediately populates them wherever, into the AM or into my media library, doesn't matter. So I want to do that, but I don't know that. I want to just briefly describe. So that monotonous, annoying piece of job that takes most of my time, I want this to get away so that I have a concept, I play it over, I be able to run it in a little matter of time, like in a minimum time, and see if it works or not. If it works, then I can enhance it. Okay, I can even fine tune these pipelines because that's already pre-done for me by AI. I can test it, maybe adjust it according to the best practices, but I don't want to waste a day for this POC. And that's what I've been doing before.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to have this conversation a year from now.
Yeah. Let's talk again next December and see if we were right or wrong, or how wrong we were.
Sounds good.